Medeo area at the foothills of the Transilea Latau became widely known for its sports complex Medeo. The construction of the skating rink began in 1949, and in 1972 the building had acquired its modern look. Alpine Arena of international competitions used to be called a factory of world records. Today, it is a state object of historical and cultural heritage of national importance. International competitions are still held here. For instance, 28th Winter Universiade is planned to be held in Almaty in 2017. People were settling in this picturesque landmark with its unique landscape back in ancient times. In 2014, just 300 meters away from the ice rink, archaeologists found an ancient settlement of early Iron Age times. Examination of archaeological monuments around Transilea Latau mountain range proved that the developed civilization had lived here in period between 4th and 3rd centuries BC. Settlements under study in Almarasan and Butakov landmarks gave researchers colossal amount of information about the ancient value of the region, added new pages in finding out the history of Almaty megalopolis. I walked around this terrace for a bit. It is well seen from afar because of topography. This zone is somehow terraced. Not natural terrace, man-made terraces. There are dozens of cavities seen, probably there were separate dwelling houses. However, this one over here doesn't look like living space. The layout, several details that were just unsealed, tell us that it was most likely a sanctuary. It was no coincidence that ancient people chose this exact mountainous ecosystem as a place to live. Abundance of natural resources allowed residents to use timber, stone, sand and clay. They neatly planned the process of building the settlements by arranging their houses on terraces made in advance. This is how the infrastructure of the proto-city was formed, a city where nature itself turned into sacred adobe. We came across the early Iron Age right after peeling off the first layer of a barrow. That is Saka times. Over the past few thousand years, the relief of the highlands has not changed, but the world of ancient man has changed under the influence of superseding cultures. Peoples of Turan Saka replaced Indo-Aryan tribes of the Andronova culture and communities of the Bronze Age. Subsequently, they were replaced by Usuns. Then this region was inhabited by Yuezhi, the Huns. Archaeologists sometimes find it difficult to determine the authorship of the artifact found, to assign it to a particular culture. The findings may lie in the latter layers of time, although be dated to belong to an earlier period. Assimilation of individual nations could last for centuries, resulting in continuous use of technology and items without them losing their form and function. Therefore, they are present in the layers of their own era as well as in subsequent cultures. This excavation also has its overlap of layers. To unravel the meaning of symbols, scientists turn to the sources of the earlier period. For example, a sacrificial tray found in the lower reaches of the gorge was made in the era of Ahura Mazda worshippers. Look at these wolves and Karshipta. Karshipta is snow. It embraces the heavens and the earth. It is a bird, and these feathers are associated with the snowflakes falling on the mountain pass. Crow is a harbinger of snow. That is why it is a Karshipta bird. Here they are nibbling on a goatling and watch him, what to do with him, where his soul is going to fly. And snow leopards? Leopards come from Mazdaism. There was a split over here. Clockwise. Yes, clockwise, following the course of the sun. We must assume that ancient Mazda culture preceding Zoroastrianism laid the foundation for the worldview of subsequent periods. It is full of allegories, symbolic images. For example, Karshipta is an intelligent human soul. The ancient religion of magicians expressed its divinity through the image of birds, while the Greeks depicted it as a butterfly. Despite the presence of modern facilities, some areas of Medeo are still intact. Therefore, some traces of ancient civilizations remain in the gorge. Unique artifacts found at the site of the excavation enrich our understanding of the ancient world, astound with their technologies.
Каких только здесь ремесел уже вот Руслан не нашел за это время, здесь уже весь набор есть, и металлургия у него, так сказать, и
So many kinds of crafts Ruslan had found here already. There's a full set: metallurgy, weaving, ceramics production, stone processing. This hammer stone can grind fire clay or mica, this grain grater, this one made of granite, and this one of kevis of better quality. Lots of material. Here's a ladle for smelted metal. The zargar was sticking from somewhere here and they poured. 5 years ago, we have found a 3-part casting form in Almarasan. It could easily be jewel's tool. For the jeweler, this type will not do naturally. It needs denser, homogeneous material. Say stereotype, it is very dense, thick stone.
Если для ювелирки нужен вот такой не пойдет, естественно, материал. Там нужен более плотный, однородный материал. Скажем, стеатит, по качеству такой плотный камень.
The top layer of the excavations demonstrated how favorable for artifacts the microclimate beneath the soil could be. This had helped to save one of the interesting jeweler's tools. What's interesting in this item is its unusual handle. It is a finger bone, not this one, over here. This could have had a ritualistic character. It belonged to human, was long time in use, was polished, these parts were smoothened. It is sought here, they drilled it almost through, drilled it thorough. There are signs of oxidation. This thing could have been used for almost anything, even for trepanation. Surgical tool? There were cases of trepanation in the Bronze Age. Could be a surgical instrument, but since there are many handicraft items, it could be ancient zirger. The word zirger is still used in Kazakh language, derived from the word zargar, literally the golden craftsmaster, translated from Avestan language, the language of Zarathustra. Kazakhs have retained it in the form of zirger. I wonder what attitude was towards this tool, since it was made from human bone. The man who made it, he probably knew what he's making it out of. What was the sense of using a finger bone? Was there a spiritual importance to this? Perhaps the bone belonged to the deceased master. Perhaps this was a way to show respect for his teacher, to his legacy, and continuing the work of artisans' tradition. We can only assume that the magic power of the tool directed the student. This is how he perfected his skill, knowledge of the craft. Saka jewelers have found their own special technique. Each symbol, ancient sign, had its deep meaning for them. They understood the essence of the world of spirits. This knowledge was expressed in symbolic images, decorating clothes of a golden man found in a sikh. These symbols are present in the sacrificial incense burners found in these foothills. Judging by the artifacts found in the upper layers, the inhabitants of the settlements were acquainted with many different crafts. Metal tips are items of special interest among the forged products of this period. It could have had a dual purpose. It could be a double-edged knife for something, even though it is not convenient in use. Or this is the tip of the dart forged. Apparently, the iron is forged well. It is of good quality, almost steel. Our earliest steel items belong to the 6th century. It is Turkic Khanate times already. I frankly can imagine how it must have been forged to make such a small thing.
Чтобы сделать такой трехперый, вот такой маленький.
Spinning wheels found in here are also a typical product of that period. Weaving items had their own distinctive details. There is a perfect hole in the center of the wheel. it is almost impossible to do by hand. Apparently, there was some sort of drilling device. Perhaps this is the wheel of a miniature children's toy, a cart or chariot. There should be a special drilling device. That is, it was not prehistoric man who battered silicon. He must have a machine that wasn't much different from the ones Kazakhs used before the revolution. The slack debris of production at the site of the excavation hint signs of the high quality of pottery industry. It is possible that a high-tech oven was embedded into the slope of the site, where the channels of traction allowed for pumping the heat. Such structures are not uncommon in this region, and it is possible that one of the production facilities for firing pottery was located here. The furnace at the bottom, there is a white clay inside and firing, the temperature. So, tempering is very good, up to 1000 degrees, I suppose. Pottery during Saka era had its own distinctive shape, different methods of making vessels. A binding material could be an important solution for shaping the vessel. It could be a burlap, which would allow keeping the egg bulge on the inside, after which it was removed or burnt on the spot. They also used twisted strands of rope. They could be laid closely in inner contour of the vessel, and then the clay was rolled on top of the foam. Stapled ends of a rod were stretched from the vessel after drying. Thus, container acquired its final form. In 4th, 3rd centuries BC, the new ceramic production technology appears. It is a process of making a vessel on the potter's wheel with glazing. The composition of clay had also changed. The dough became denser, a new element was introduced, a luminescent effect. They started adding various components to give the surface smooth or glazed appearance. Fire clay, pulverized powder fragments of baked clay, was sealing the vessel. Sand and mica in the composition of the clay gave picture strength and shine after a high firing temperature. The artifacts discovered gave researchers grounds to suggest that these findings are related to the period of 4th-3rd centuries BC. Tools and bone items suggest that the artifacts were made for certain rituals associated with the worldview and beliefs of the Saka. In the study of the topography, it was revealed that the study area is located in the central part of the slope. Archaeologists have suggested that there used to be a temple complex. Considering that the cult of Mithras sprang at the same period, then the landscape played a special role. The middle phase of the solar cycle was passing on the opposite side of the mountain Mahnatka, which played the role of sacred mountain Olympus. The original meaning of the Mithras deity was in Trinity, sunrise, noon, sunset. The summit itself was identified with kind of a center of the energy flow from the heavens. It charged with an incredibly enormous power the landscape entire area, affecting people's attitude at the same time. Ancient people worshipped their spiritual belonging to the forces of nature. Perhaps it was absorbed by other ancient religions as well. It was some sort of reference point, the point of summer solstice. The area is astonishing. You feel the terrain itself, and this is primarily the spirit of Tengri, adoration of the beauty, the spirit of nature, making a sanctuary right there. It is somehow connected, it blends in. Archaeologists carefully analyzed the features of the landscape to understand why priests had chosen this place. The artifacts found relate to particular eras. This could help historians to compare the achievements of successive cultures in the future. It is a symbolic sign that the World Record Sports Center is situated at the foothills of the ancient Olympus. It is also very important for archaeologists to understand the world of ancient tribes that lived in the sacred Meadow. They have yet to explore the lower cultural layers, delve into earlier epochs. New finding might help understand when the first settlements of Transili-Alatau, a modern territory of Almaty, appeared, and why were they abandoned.